my name is Rich Villacrez, and this is my 1954 Dodge M152. Her name is Hella. She and I have been on the road full-time for a little over 3 years now. So the truck is not as big as its personality. It's actually only 16 feet long, about 8.5 feet tall at its highest point, only 6 feet wide. So it fits in a lot of places. Weighs 9,000 pounds, fully loaded, full tanks, everything like that. And just a real burly 4x4, lots of ground clearance. So one of the things that was a surprise to me when I got this rig is this huge storage locker that goes under the body. It is great. I got a door on the other side, goes all the way through, and I store all my recovery equipment, axe, high lift jack, extra fluids, my light stands for photography, grease tubes. I mean, all the yucky stuff and all the recovery stuff is in here. So when I got the truck, I could not get modern radial tires for that kind of wheel. So I found a guy in the Dalles who takes these original Bud wheels. He cuts out all the riveted pieces of the two-part rim and replaces them with blanks, whatever size you want. So he welded in these 8x17 blanks onto my rims, and I was able to get modern radial tires, which was a huge game changer as far as the ride of the truck, and better mileage, just better performance all the way around. So I got the original engine running, which was a Flathead 6 251. And I launched with that engine in the summer of 2018, and 3 months later, it totally died on me. So we opted for repowering with a small block Chevy V8. So I've got a 350 in here, and it's been just a game changer of a modification. I can go up the hills at highway speed. I don't hold anybody up at all, which is really, really nice. So something I didn't know about this truck when I got it was that the front windshield's open, and boy was that a thrill, because this is fun. When I'm off-road driving, I always have them up all the way like this, and the view is clear. It just feels so safari, so cool. I love it. And then when it's hot and I'm driving, the truck obviously doesn't have air conditioning. I'll typically lock them in this position, driving down the highway, and I've got this flow of air coming right up. You know, yeah, it's coming off the hood and it's a little warm, but it's still airflow since I don't have wing windows. But I love the front windshields that open. So I was actually in the market for a 1940s or 1950s short school bus when I came across this. A friend in the New York area shared a Craigslist ad with me with this truck in the pictures, and I was in trouble as soon as I saw that. I pretty quickly gave up all fantasies of being able to stand up and have lots of room inside, just because all my life I had wanted an old military vehicle and had fantasized about converting an old ambulance or something like that into a rolling home. So I saw that and I got a hold of the guy selling it, and we worked out a deal, and about 7 months later, it arrived in my driveway, dead as a doornail with nothing working. The steering worked, that worked, but everything else was dead. I bought the truck for $6,000. It cost $3,000 to get hauled across the continent to Central Washington, where I was living in Ellensburg, Washington at the time. So I was $9,000 into it as a dead Hulk in my driveway. And then from there, I had to rebuild pretty much everything. I initially, in the first year and a half, rebuilt the brakes, cooling system, fuel system. Didn't rebuild the engine, but had to do a lot of work on it to get it running again, because it'd been in a barn for 35 years. So by the time I got the wheels built and the tires, that was $3,000. And about another $3,000 all told, just to get it running and legal enough to drive and relatively safe on the road. Really all told, with the interior build, the solar, the fridge, all the different equipment that I outfitted the truck with, I'm sitting here in it for about $28,000 for a totally roadable, I mean very reliable. I have to tend to her regularly, but very reliable rig. And it's the kind of truck I've always dreamed of having, so puts a smile on my face every time I walk up to it. So this is inside Hella. This is where, if I have to cook in bad weather, I cook here, but this is kind of a universal just work surface within the truck. I have basically a little single burner butane stove that I built a garage for there. It slides in and out of. I actually can move this stuff and flip up this leaf at the end of the desk. This actually, I was told, is an old railroad desk that I found at a yard sale in Ellensburg. And so I've just built in drawers into it. So all the interior cooking stuff is in this drawer. Tea kettle, a pot, a lighter, can opener, all that stuff, some seasonings are in that drawer. Then I have two more pantry drawers here and another kind of catch-all drawer. I also have my fridge down here. It's an actual refrigerator, smallest one Dometic makes, and Goal 0500 up here on there for solar. This truck was originally 24 volt. When I switched to 12 volt, I turned in my second 12 volt battery. I isolated it so that was my house battery at the time because I didn't have solar, not significant solar in here. And I last year got this Yeti 500. So that is running off a 100 watt panel on the roof. And now I run my fridge off of the solar. But if I need to, I can always switch back to running my fridge off of that isolated battery. My solar doesn't charge from the engine while I'm driving. It's a totally independent system from that isolated battery. So, small space, I'm extremely minimal. This is my entire wardrobe in these two half tubs. This is the daily stuff. This is the more seasonal stuff in this lower one. This step that they're on is a heavy duty step I use for doing mechanical work. Carry some gear oil over here, coolant back there too. This is my hamper over here, first aid kit, a couple TV trays, garbage, and I have these big gallon water jugs that I refill instead of buying gallons of water in the bottles. And yeah, all this storage is just real practical stuff. So I've lived in a vehicle before for 5 years, back in the early 90s when I was starting my career. It was a 78 Dodge van, full size, and it had wood paneling in it. And I got in the habit of writing on the walls all sorts of different things. But one of the things I did was I would write different places I'd been. So when I got started in Hella, it was just a natural. I immediately started anywhere I spent the night. If it was somewhere I hadn't been before, I wrote the name on the wall. And it's been really fun, and it is fun to see this just keep developing. And you know, I'm not the type that I want things to look all super factory perfection. I like the look, like I said, of patina and history. And so I keep writing the history of my travels on these walls, and I will continue doing that until I'm virtually out of space, and I don't know where I'll go then, but it's going to take a while to get to that. So as you can see, I've got canoes magneted up to my ceiling. These are seats for the canoe. I have an inflatable drop stitch canoe that's 16 feet long that I store up on the roof. And I just love taking that thing out in water wherever I can. I actually like how the paddles look and how all the wood and the seats look here, held up on the ceiling by magnets. I think it's really pretty. But yeah, it works great. You know, I can just pull everything off that I need to put the canoe together after I pump it up. And nice out-of-the-way storage. The ceiling with the whole magnet thing is just awesome in this rig because I can endlessly change it as I need to. So this rig didn't originally have this big hatch in the roof. So I found this 17 by 22 inch hatch, and the cool thing is it's a regular vent, conventional vent, but it's also a literal escape hatch. So I can prop it open and be looking right up at the stars, you know, from bed. It's great. I can stand up through the hatch, take in the view from a high vantage point. It's just been a wonderful thing. It was also the most stressful thing in all of my build to cut holes in this perfect roof that had never been cut through, but it's been wonderful. So I chose to do this, built this truck completely for the sole purpose of making it financially possible for me to retire from full-time advertising commercial work and focus all my energy on creating portraits for families in homeless shelters, safe parks, different places where I find them. That is the sole driving purpose behind it. It's just a bonus that I also love this lifestyle. So I don't feel at all like I've compromised or sacrificed anything. I feel like I've gained everything by having the freedom to bless people and do the gifting I'm doing, which is actual meaningful photography versus all the advertising stuff I've done all my life. This is what feeds my heart and my soul. And living out of a vehicle allows me to just barely eke by financially and actually do what fires me up. So I have two children, a son that's 22, a daughter that's 26. My son lives in Seattle, my daughter lives in San Francisco. And I actually get to see more of them in a way with this lifestyle where I travel. And I basically am roaming the western coast of the US, you know, inland a little bit, but not far east of the Sierras. So basically, I spend summers up north and I get to spend a couple months at least in the Seattle area where I can see my son and spend time with him, as much time as he has for me. And then on my way south, I'll spend like 6 weeks in San Francisco in about a month here and get to spend lots of time with my daughter there. Then I head south this year, going to Baja and a few other spots. And then on my way back north, I'll spend a couple, you know, at least 6 weeks in San Francisco again, which I'm also doing my gifting portrait work in the city while I'm there. And then come back up here towards the northwest in the summer and get to see my son. So this is my main kitchen in the truck. If weather's decent, this is always where I do my real cooking. And basically this stove folds up and stores back on this shelf. Once it's in there, I put in these things go in front of it. It's a tool bag, some power tools, and one of those 2.5 gallon NATO cans. Right here I have all my utensils, drawers with all my spices and cooking tools, oil, propane tanks are in there. Then these are actual cooking utensils, cutting board, pots, pans, measuring cups. I use welding gloves since I do a lot of welding stuff, and they're great for hot pads, so welding gloves for that. And this is a really nice Cook Partner stove. This thing is a bulletproof propane stove that just works in all kinds of conditions. Really great. I thought I would maybe get tired of the fact that I can't stand up, that it's only about 4.5 feet tall in here, but that really hasn't been an issue. I haven't minded at all. And I enjoy doing the mechanical work on it. She would drive someone nuts if they didn't like doing mechanical work. You know, I mean, just today on the way here, I adjusted my clutch linkage, you know, just 1/4 inch. I could feel it was a little bit, So I really can't think of anything I don't like about it. I've always loved the nomad, van life, you know, vehicle-based lifestyle. Well, thanks for taking the tour of Hella and checking out what I'm doing. I appreciate it. If you'd like to follow my journey or support what I'm doing, just go to jackdaw.love online, that's a URL, or follow me on Instagram, same handle, jackdaw.love. And there'll be links in the description below.